Good evening. Raymond Patriarca, the kingpin of organized crime in New England, is dead at the age of 76.
Who was Raymond Patriarca? Public enemy number one. Raymond Patriarca was an American mobster from Providence, Rhode Island, who became the long-time boss of the Patriarca crime family, whose control extended throughout the New England for more than 3 decades. Patriarca was born on March 17, 1908 in Worcester, Massachusetts, to Eleuteria Patriarca, an Italian immigrant from the village of Ars Lacio, and Mary Jane Dumedale. An Italian-American at the age of 4, Patriarca moved with his family to Providence, Rhode Island, and left school when he was 8 to St. Jude's and work as a bellhop. During his teenage years, Patriarca was charged with hijacking, armed robbery, assault, safecracking, and auto theft. He was indicted as accessory to murder before Prohibition ended in 1933. During the 1930s, the Providence Board of Public Safety named him Public Enemy number one. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison for robbery, but he was paroled in 1938 after serving 4 months in prison. In 1939, Patriarca married Helen G. Mandela and had a son, Raymond Patriarca Jr. During the 1940s, Patriarca continued to rise in power. In 1950, mobster Philip Bokala fled the county to avoid prosecution for tax evasion, and Patriarca took control of his criminal operations. In 1956, Patriarca made drastic charges in the crime family, the biggest being to move his base operations to Providence, Rhode Island. He ran his crime family from the National Cigarette Service Company and Econometric Distributors, a vending machine and pinball machine business on 8th Avenue in the Federal Hill neighborhood of Providence. Every card game, prostitution ring and illegal business in Providence had to pay a kickback to Patriarca. Patriarca, reigned as leader of the New England Syndicate, was rumored to be brutal and ruthless. In one incident, he allegedly ordered the elderly mobster to murder his own son. After Patriarca lost a substantial amount of money on a bad deal, the father pleaded for his son's life, so Patriarca exiled him from the family. Patriarca underboss Henry Tamaleo also persuaded him to relent in another incident. Patriarca demanded that the several members of the crime family pay him $20,000. After federal authorities seized a hijacked shipment of cigarettes that had been financed, he allegedly ordered the murder of his brother for failing the notice of electronic surveillance device placed in the office by federal agents. He allegedly ordered the murder of several members of the McClown gang during the Irish mob wars between Charlestown Mob and the Winter Hill gang. This occurred when Bernie McLaren started interfering with Patriarca's home-shocking operation in Boston. In March 1970, Patriarca and several of his associates went on a trial for murder and a conspiracy to commit murder, the chief witness being a robber and a hitman, John Red Kelly, who afterwards went into the Federal Witness Protection Program. Kelly gave testimony linking Patriarca and other family members to the murder of Rudolph Rudy Raphael and Anthony Malai. Kelly had been contracted by Patriarca to kill Raphael. Patriarca and his associates were convicted of conspiracy to commit murder. Associate Maurice Lerner also was convicted of the murder. The mob boss was sentenced to 10 years in prison, but he continued to run his family while imprisoned. He was paroled in 1975. Lerner and other defendants were substantially exonerated when it was established that Kelly had perjured himself at the trial, as had FBI agent Paul Rico, who had been corroborated Kelly's testimony. Patriarca was arrested again in 1980 for allegedly having set up 2 murders. His lawyer was able to convince the judge that he would not survive the trial because of his heart disease. Patriarca suffered from heart disease and diabetes for many years. He died of a heart attack on July 11, 1984 at the age of 76. He buried in Gate of Heaven Cemetery, East Providence, Rhode Island.